Good evening everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now, a few days ago, possibly by the time this goes live, be closer to maybe about a week, I published a video which was a channel update. If you didn't actually get, if you missed that video and didn't get to check it out, I do recommend going and checking it out just so you can kind of get up to speed on everything that I have planned, but also at the start of the video I do go into some brief but not extensive detail as to why content on the channel has been fairly erratic and irregular, be two ways to put it, over the last number of months. But I'm not going to go into detail on that in this video. If you do want to know about that and know the other plans that I have in my head at the moment for what I want to do go ahead and check out that video. I will leave a link for it a few places. I'll leave it up in the top right corner down in the description of this video, and I'll also link it at the end of this video on the end screen also. But what I want to do for this video is, because I did in that last video say what I do plan to now do with PGA Tour 2K23, just to mix it to change it up a little bit, not mix it up but change it up a bit, and that is to go down the route of actual course reviews, not just because I've never classed any of my content, any of the videos, as actual reviews. They've been just course playthroughs more so, and if I spot things, etc., I'd take a quick look at them and I'd comment on things and say if say that I like the course, and generally 9 times out of 10 anyway, the courses that I picked have always been very nice anyway. Um, but this, as I say, now this video, I just want to go into more detail of what I plan to, I plan to do the reviews, but how I plan to go about reviewing the courses and what I'm going to be looking for. There'll be a few ways that I will be picking out courses. So what we'll do is we'll jump over and take a look at, as I explained it as well, what I plan to do for choosing the courses, and how I could easily get bluffed into what could look like a good course, but could actually end up being a bad one as well. Okay, so here in the background, you can see there on the right hand side, I do have, it's actually the last course that I played. I played it last night just for some gameplay for this video, which we'll switch over to that in a few moments while I go through the different things that I want, that I'll be looking for in a course. Um, And this is going to be one of the ways how I'm going to pick one of the courses. What I'm going to try to do, if I can't find anything or nobody posts anything or anything like that, I will go down the route of TGC Tours, which is generally where I tend to go unless somebody recommends one to me. But a lot of times anyway, courses that are on TGC Tours have been rated as quite good anyway. Um, so one of the ways that I'm going to do is, obviously I'll come into local match. I'm toying with the idea of setting up just a private society for myself where I can just set it to 4 rounds, etc., and just play through the 4 rounds without, because what I want to do is I want to have different outfits on the golfer, as well as on screen. I'll say pin set one, pin set two, three, four, etc. So that then with the gameplay in the background when I'm doing the review, you'll be able to distinguish between the different pin sets when I'm playing each, as I show them on screen. But this is going to be one of the ways where I'll just come into local match and I'll just come up to select a course, and I'll do it one of two ways through here. I'll go through either highly rated, some courses they can only be brand new, but they can get very good ratings fairly quick, or I'll go through recently added. Now, the reason why I mentioned a moment ago that I could easily be bluffed, I suppose would be one way to put it, into thinking that a course may be good, but it actually turns out to be kind of not the best. There could be some issues with the course. Is we'll just go into recently added for example here now, really quickly, and as you can see, like, I mean, we've got the thumbnails here, but I don't like. I mean, straight away, I know for a fact this one down here, the Royal Chungus, airplanes all over the place. It looks like absolute madness going on there. What I would be looking for just straight away off this first page would be maybe something along the lines of Hayes Mountain. That's catching my eye at the moment out of these 8 that are on show. So I would potentially pick that one. To be honest, Westchester course, that could be another one. I can't really see much detail here in this one, but then if we switch off, if I cycle through the pages straight away, I'm more than likely not going to pick the likes of a Golf Club Gourmet, as I think I'm pronouncing that correct, because straight away I can see elements of what I'm going to be reviewing. This one down here, Aces, it looks like it's just I don't know. It's probably one of those where you can just farm ace holes in one. But that sort of thumbnail gives me no detail whatsoever as to whether or not the course is going to be good. And like another kind of example here, which is I wish that a lot of designers would actually pick something that's going to draw the player's attention when they're if they're going through this process of just selecting a course to play. Because again, this Golden Valley Palms, this could be a wonderful course, but there's little to no details or nothing really eye catching. I can see that there's palm trees and a bit of a waste area and deserty, potentially deserty area or something like that in the background, but all I can see is a green. That's literally all that I can see. Um, so the other way that, or the other ways, should I say, that I will be selecting courses will be through a number of Facebook groups that I'm in, where people do regularly post details about the courses that they've just published and whether they're collaborations or whether they've just created and published them by themselves. Um, and they'll also have screenshots, and there might even be the little backstories and stuff like that, just to add on to the immersion, I suppose you could say, with the course. And then the other way is if any of you guys, if you have your own course that you've recently published that you wish me to review, or if you just know of a course that has been recently published, or it might even be out a while, to be honest, that you'd like me to feature on the channel and review, they'll be the sort of main ways. If I can think of any other ways, but they're generally the ones that's the route that I'll be going down for selecting courses. So what we'll do is as I click my way back out to the main menu, we will switch over to the gameplay of this course here that I have, Odonistic Rune GC, in the background, and I'll go through the points. I've kind of done, at the moment I have 5 points. That could well be expanded as I might think of more things that I wish to add as we get into the review process of doing things, and maybe I might think of more while I'm actually doing it. Is I suppose one way to put it while I waffle on. But yeah, so I've got the 5 points here, and we'll go through those in detail. So yeah, we'll switch over to the gameplay now and get straight on into that. So before we get into the actual 5 different points or categories of things that would be one way to put it, that I'll be looking for when reviewing a course, I do want to stress one thing that I am definitely going to have to try and avoid unless I don't personally realize it myself, if it's not a well-known one. But what I will need to avoid is, especially for those of you who may recommend courses to me, is due to the fact that I am part of 2K's Next Makers, I will need to avoid, to the best of my ability, any RCR courses. So any real courses, I will definitely need to try and avoid those, as I say, to the best of my ability. If I do happen to select a course, maybe from going through local match, and it just, if something catches my eye, I don't recognize the name. It might be, maybe you might have designed it yourself. It might be your local course. It could be an I've never heard of it, because it could be somewhere in England, America, God knows, anywhere in the world, and I may not have actually heard of it. Unfortunately, if it comes to light, then that is an RCR. Well, it'll be a bit too late by then. But anything that is genuinely known as an RCR, so it could be a world class tournament course that's very well known. If you do happen to create that, unfortunately, I won't be able to review how you've recreated the course in game, just due to the fact that I could potentially get myself into a bit of hot water for sort of terms of service or something, is the phrase that I'm looking for. But also potentially I could easily get a 2K and HB into a bit of hot water also. I'm sure those of you who have been with the franchise for a long time are aware of a situation from a while back. I won't go into the details on that, but yeah, I will need to the best of my ability, for as I say, local courses I can't really do anything about if I'm not aware that they are real courses. I mean, I have had cases where I have done local courses. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head, but there was actually a person who worked at the course. I did do a playthrough of it. It was a good while. I think it was the Golf Club 2019, and there was a person actually who worked at the golf course, was actually delighted to see it in the game. And there's actually one very well known course in particular that's in Ireland. was actually recreated by a friend of mine who's a long time in the game designing courses, and they were more than happy to have the course done as well. But there is the odd chance where there could be a little bit of upset, I suppose would be one way to put it. So I will be doing my best to avoid RCRs. I will be steering well clear of any well-known courses. Um, so as well, just before I get into the points, I do want to state as well that any of the courses that I'm going to be reviewing, they will not be rated on how well I play them personally. So if there's only one pin set or there's four pin sets available, whether I shoot 10 under or 10 over in just one of the rounds or all four pin sets, I'll still be non-biased to my scoring ability or whatever in my criticism and opinions of the course. For example, like, I mean, I may shoot well in one round, so like pin set one, I could easily shoot very well and shoot 10 under, but then I could easily lose my rhythm if I'm playing all four in or back to back to get them done. And then, so pin set two, I could easily score maybe not as good, but maybe say we just say 5 or 6 under par. But pin set three, I could go over par. Pin set four, I could be tired and go over par. And I'm not going to base it on that saying, oh well, pin set one and two I shot well, but pin set three and four were crap because I didn't shoot well. I'm not going to do anything like that. As I say, if I shoot 10 under or 10 over in all four pin sets, I'm still going to be just looking for the things around the course, not based on how well I score them. It doesn't matter if I score absolutely atrociously. So I just want to put that out there as well for those of you who may submit a course or suggest a course that you possibly designed yourself to me to review. But for the courses, I'll be giving them a rating out of, I'm going to try do my best to give them a rating out of 5 stars, and with a point or a star, or each of the points and things, categories, I suppose you could say, that I'm going to be looking for, will receive one potential star, but only after I've played every available pin set. So some courses may only have 2 pin sets, some may only have 1, but if there's all 4, after I've played every single pin set that is made available by the designer, then I'll decide whether or not I'm going to give it a star, half a star, whatnot, and all that sort of thing. So in no particular order, these are the 5 things that I have at the moment. As I did mention a few moments ago in the video, I may potentially come up with some, or think of something else, or maybe some of you might think of, why don't you go down or take this certain thing into consideration and such like that. So that this may be expanded upon. But the first one that I have is visual appeal. Now, I did mention with the thumbnails, if you're playing through local match, you can be, as I termed it, bluffed into thinking that a course may be good, depending on what kind of thumbnail that the designer is given for that. But what I'd be looking for is sort of planting and detailing around the course. Now, I'm not saying that every course has to be details everywhere going into crazy sort of stuff. There are courses that are very, very good, very, very nice, that actually suit a minimal kind of detail and things. So I'll determine that myself. Again, it'll all be my own opinion. But another thing that I'll be looking for is sight lines. Now, when I say sight lines, I don't mean oh well, I've hit my tee shot on this par 4, but now I can't see the green because, like, oh, it's a 90-degree dog leg or something like that, or I can't see the green on a par 5 again to try and can I get there in 2. I mean, that could come into play if you're going down the road of, if I'm taking into consideration true sim players who won't have the ability to zoom down the fairway and stuff like that, so they'd be playing just straight from the golfer's perspective sort of thing. I may take that into consideration, but otherwise, basically, in particular, what I mean for sight lines is actually putts. I can't remember if it happened during the round that you can see in the background now, but I have come across a number of instances over the years of playing the golf club and 2K, is where you could end up on the edge of a green, and the way that the camera is, I know you can press buttons to elevate the camera now and get a higher view, but sometimes your sight lines can be obstructed depending on what way planting and trees and such like that around the green are done. It could be too close and you can't see. So I'll take that sort of thing into consideration, where I may or may not badly sort of criticize it, but I will be taking that sort of thing into consideration anyway. For the next one, I was thinking of the idea of going down the course routing aspect of things, but with being on console, unfortunately, unlike the guys over on PC, we can't get up into. We haven't got that Skycam. We can't just hit a couple of buttons and get up into the sky and zip around the course and have a look and try and trace out the course and say, oh, this is a very nice route, and the way that they've linked this hole onto that hole and so forth and all that sort of stuff. But what I'm going to do is get down the whole routing. Now again, this is going back to a moment ago with the visual appeal. When it comes to hole routing, I'm not going to be looking for, oh, that's too sharp of a dog leg. I'm not on a particular hole like par 4, par 5. I'm not going to be looking for any of that sort of thing. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking for options that may be given to the player by the designer. So, if the fairway is split, how is that going to make the player think? Like, depending on the wind conditions and whatever tees you're playing off, whether you're playing from the tips or from the front tees, anything like that. In higher winds or certain wind directions, would it be better to just say, for example, you've got a left path, you've got a right path, or you might have a split fairway down the middle? Would it be better if it's left and right? Would you have a better angle of attack into the green going down the left? Whereas if the wind is flipped, it'd be better to go down the right. If you've got a split fairway down the middle, say you've got your two fairways, it's going to be better to drop back a club, maybe to your 3-wood, maybe your driver might just about in some conditions get onto that second fairway, but if you've got a bit of a headwind, you might put yourself into a spot of bother if you take the driver off the tee. So would it be better to actually just drop back to a 3-wood or something like that and lay it up into the first fairway and continue on from there? That's going to be the sort of thing that I'm looking for. So I'm going down the whole routing kind of thing, not the actual course routing itself. Because at the end of the day, I mean, some courses, like, it doesn't have to, there could be a nice good pathing maybe leads or wraps around one hole, and they might circle or spiral around each other in some sort of way. It doesn't always have to be like the tee for hole number 2 is like 20-30 yards away from the green of hole number 1, and so on and so forth. So that's I say, hole routing, not course routing, and the options that the designer is given to the player, as well as any risk reward shots. So although I know you can have them with par 3s, whether they're short, medium, long par 3s, would it be better on some pin sets maybe, and again conditions depending, to instead of trying to attack the hole, to maybe just go for the heart of the green, unless the pin is in the heart of the green, and just play that hole for par. With par 4s, par 5s, like, is the par 4, is it potentially under, again, some conditions, is it reachable? And even if it is reachable, what kind of risks has the designer put around the hole, or put around the green, to make the player think? And same with the par 5s as well, it might be reachable in 2. But again, like, have you got water in play, a number of bunkers, anything that'll just make the player stop and think and say, is it going to be worth it? You could be playing a society event or a tournament, whatever, and you might be playing well, could be halfway through the round, and just to make you stop and think, like, with the possibility of absolutely screwing your shot up, is it going to be better to just club back, lay it up, get on, go for the birdie, rather than try with a par 4, reachable par 4, trying to get on there in 1 and take that small chance of getting away with an eagle, getting out in 2? Or would it be better off just club back, lay it up, get on, tuck it in there nice and close in 3 shots, or in two, and get away with a birdie? So that's what I'm going to be going for there as well, looking for those sort of risk reward shots, because I do enjoy, whether it's par 3s, 4s, 5s, whatever, making the player think about the shot, not just grip it and rip it off the tee and then just say, oh, there's the pin, right, just send it in there, and hope that it gets close. But I do love courses where the designer is intentionally trying to make the player think of their shots, not just mindlessly hit shot after shot and get from the first tee right through to the 18th hole. The next one then is greens. And what I'm going to be looking for with greens is, one thing, not only with greens but also with the course in general, so fairways, etc., is sculpting. Is one thing that I'm going to be looking at. Is their sharp, jaggedy, unrealistic kind of sculpting. It is a very I can't think of the best way to describe it now for fairways, but I mean, I did play a course there a couple of days ago where sculpting was kind of extreme. Extreme would actually be one way to put it. You can see a number of examples with sculpting here right now in the background as well, with the likes of the greens. I'll go into the greens now in a moment, but with the likes of fairways, where the actual fairway was running down fairly steep into lakes numerous times around the course, and it was if you hit the slightest wrong shot and the wind wasn't in your favor, you were just in the water all day, and it was very. I found that to be very unfair. Um, where there wasn't even a small patch of light rough, never mind heavy rough, bordering the fairway on the water, that kind of thing. When it comes to the greens, um, bear with me 2 seconds, just an email to my phone is flashing at me. But when it comes to the greens in particular, I'm going to be looking across all the pin sets. Are the pins placed fairly? Um, but still possibly providing a bit of a challenge to some degree. So I remember it back a while ago. I think it was actually TGC Tours what they kind of recommended for designers for having a fair pin location is a sort of a 3 yard radius, so 3 grid squares around the hole, of it being like, obviously you can have your breaks around the hole and such, but that they're not going into yellow, orange, red anywhere within that, because it's just going to punish the player. Um, in a I suppose you could say a kind of a mean way. The word that I have a word in the back of my mind that I can't think of it. It's on the tip of my tongue again. But make it very unfair. Where if the player does hit a good shot, but it just carries on that little bit past the hole maybe, and then it's just a runoff off the back of the green. Now again, another thing, there can obviously be multi-tier greens. There can be 2 or 3 tier greens. That's no problem at all. But just as long as the pin is located on a particular tier of the green, at a reasonable distance away from extreme slopes, and to make it fair for the player. Um, and then again, runoffs, like I mentioned a moment ago, that particular course where the runoffs, the fairway was going straight down into the water. The greens were running straight off into bunkers, and then or just straight back into fairway and down into water at numerous occasions throughout the course, and didn't enjoy it at all, to be perfectly honest. But just is the player going to be rewarded for hitting a good shot into the green, especially if it's a small green, and maybe it is the likes of a 2 tier green, just once those pins are located in a reasonable and fair manner. So the next thing then, well, I say I don't want to drag this video on too long. I know we're on hole 12 of this already, but another thing that I want to look for is bunker placement. So are they also placed fairly? But again, still giving the player potential to be that they could be in trouble if they hit a bit of a bad shot, so on an approach into a green. And are they regularly placed in landing areas? So in particular, fairway bunkers. Because I know I've come across this numerous times as well over the years, where what designers will fall into that sort of trap, where they will just on every single hole, and it just becomes so repetitive, where they're what's the best way to put it? They're artificially making the course more difficult. They're kind of tricking it up, I suppose, is another way to put it. Where every single hole, every single par four and par five has a bunker slap bang right where right where your ball is going to land, where it's in calm conditions. If you've got a strong tailwind, fair enough, you might sail over it. You got a strong headwind, you might come up short of it, but they're always perfectly placed right where, on average, the ball is going to land, and it becomes very few ways that monotonous maybe, but repetitive and boring, and there's no imagination or creativity with strategic bunker placements, if you get what I mean. So I mean, obviously, if you have a bit of a dog leg, you can have a bunker on the there's no problem with a bunker being on the just say it's a right to left dog leg, bunker being on the inside on the left side of the fairway, just to make the player think Is it going to be better to come up a little bit shorter? If I come up a bit shorter, am I going to still have a clear sight line into the green on this particular par 4, for example? Or wind dependent, am I going to be able to just about get over that bunker and get a slightly closer shot into the green? So that's another thing that I am going to be looking for. Is bunker placement, and is there going to be repetitiveness and all that sort lack of I want to say lack of creativity with the placement of the bunkers and the quantity of them as well, because I have seen numerous times where courses can have just so many bunkers. I came across one there again a few days ago, and slap bang in the landing zone for the tee shot. I can't remember. It was either par 4 or par 5, but slap bang in the middle of the landing zone, either side of the fairway. And it wasn't an overly wide fairway. It's a kind of average to bordering towards narrow fairway. There were 6 large bunkers, either side, 3 either side of the fairway. Yeah, that's another thing that I'm going to be looking out for. And then finally, of the 5 things that I'm going to be looking for so far that I can think of is, are there signs of the course being either fully or at least to a degree auto-generated? Now there are the telltale signs that straight away that will give straight away. I'm stumbling over my words now, but straight away they're dead giveaways as to whether or not the course is auto-generated. Because what I love to see is the creativity, the imagination, that not a golfer but a designer has in their head, and how they go about their course. But as I say, there is the telltale signs. Sometimes it might take a hole or two where it might become blatantly obvious, but other times you can straight away on the first tee, you can just straight away say, this is an auto-generated course. This has just been slapped together. It could easily be, maybe it's a new designer. I will take that into consideration, because there is one way that I can check that out, and I'll show that in a moment. That I can show that in game, because a lot of the times now I'm potentially going to have no knowledge of the designer, and as to how many courses they've designed, because there is cases where like a designer can auto generate out the layout of the course and then go in and tweak the hole, or each specific hole to their liking, and change things around, but may potentially easily just say, okay, well that looks okay there where it is, but I'm gonna go over here and change this to suit me a little bit better, and what I think would look a bit better, that sort of thing. But there will be there can be instances, if again I can get my words out, where there will be those telltale signs of auto generation. And yeah, so I'd be looking for the real creativity and imagination coming from the golfers. Now, I'm not saying as well that all courses have to be. I do prefer more so courses that, like, obviously they're going to be fantasy, non-real courses, unless, again, as I mentioned in the video earlier on, if it's a local course that somebody's designed that I have absolutely no knowledge whatsoever of, that I do prefer courses that, although fantasy, could potentially, if when you're playing them, you're saying this could be a real course, this would be a very nice course to play. I was completely losing my train of thought there for a second. Yeah, what I was saying was that I do prefer, or that I do love courses where when you're playing them, you could think this could be a real course. But I've no problem with fantasy kind of themed courses, where somebody might be basing the theme on something like a film or something like that. Like, I mean, there's been a number of Star Wars inspired courses and stuff like that. But any of these weird and crazy elevations up and all down and all that sort of thing, they're the kind of ones that I'm not really a fan of myself. So I mean, I am definitely going to be open to playing those sort of fantasy courses that might be inspired again from the likes of, just say for example, as there has been a few, the likes of, it's been inspired by Star Wars, because I do love to see the creativity. I remember, I think there was one, I think it was no, it wasn't. I think it was TIE fighters and stuff like that that somebody had created, doing just using random assets from the designer, and it was actually amazing, the creativity that they came up with to get that course together. So I mean, I've no problem with doing courses like that. But yeah, what I'll do is I'll just skip back out to the main menu really quickly, But before I do, yeah, you will have noticed from hearing the different things that I've been talking about, what I'd be looking out for. Like, I mean, they're here, this 18th green here. Now, depending on how I've edited the audio, but the 18th green, if it's not on screen yet, you will see it. A lot of cases in this course, I found this course quite chaotic. Chaotic is one way to put it, and it did from the thumbnail look like it was going to be a very good course, and I was just so disappointed with this course. Even though I did shoot well, I did finish this round at 10 under par. So that's again, even if I shoot well, a course could still be bad in my opinion. And there was so many bowl greens, which are, again, like we're just standing in the middle of a bowl and it's flat. And if this was to be a real course, you get a bit of bad weather. That green is flooded. You are not playing on that green. But it was just so a lot of design features in this course. I could see that there was creativity from this designer, but unfortunately, just in a number of instances, just the way it was done, it wasn't executed very well. I suppose would be one way to put it. But yeah, I'll just skip back out to the main menu real quick, and I'll show you the way that I can potentially see how experienced a designer is at creating courses. Okay, so as I just get my notes out of the way, just to kind of wind up the video now, we'll just take a look at how in game I'll be able to kind of roughly gauge how experienced the designer may be at designing courses. So I've just come back into the recently added, and we'll just go, for example, this topic ended up kind of coming up over in the Discord, and there was a feature, a lot of you may well remember it, that we had back in, I think it was I think the last game was actually the Golf Club 2. I think I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you do remember yourself, if you have been with the series for a long time, but we used to have the view more by designer feature where you could click on that and you get the list of courses, etc. And you could, so if you played a course and you really enjoyed it from a particular designer, you could go in, you could write down or just select a course, write down the list of courses and work your way through them, or just pick one at random and play that. But one way that we could do it now in game, or that I can do it now in game, to roughly gauge, as I say, unless it's a well-known designer, we'll just take for example, we have the one that I mentioned earlier at the start of the video, Hayes Mountain, and this is by Janine6686. So if I click in here, and then I come up to, if I'm correct, yes, should be course details. Should be. And then, unfortunately, no, I can't. So, I don't know why. It's now making a bloody liar out of me. Let me see. Unless I need to have played the course before. We'll try this again. Let me go into highly rated and just have a quick look. I might get a few. Let me see. That's official. So right, here we go. Probably going to make a liar of me again. If not, I'll cut all this out and keep going until I actually do get one. But here's Corinthia Club by the very, very well known Arctic Fury, who I think we all know is very, very well established at designing courses now. But no, it's making a liar out of me again. So obviously I know Arctic Fury is not on PlayStation. So we'll try this again. I'm trying to remember if you need to have actually played a course. If you need to have actually already played the course. So bear with me until we find someone. Let me see. Paragian Springs, something like that. Is this one going to give us the option? Okay, here we go, finally. So what I can do now is I can go into, as I say, I can go back for a second. When you've selected a course, whether you've played it or not, provided I presume they are on PlayStation. I didn't look at that a minute ago up underneath the thumbnail, but just go into course details, and provided you do have the option, what I can do is I can go down to View Designer, and then I can select View Golfer Info. And what that'll do is I can then come down to course design stats, and I can have a look. And straight away then I can see, okay, so this person has published 2 courses. And the most played is obviously the one that we've selected again, Peregians Springs, or Peregian Springs. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but obviously this designer could well be a very good designer, natural at the course designer itself, but could also potentially not be very well experienced, and there could be some of the elements that I'd be looking for that could give that I could give a bit of a bad I want a negative opinion on. So that's one way that I can kind of establish whether or not a designer is confident, I suppose, and experienced in designing the courses. But what I'll do is I won't do that before. So even though I've never played this course before, I've been able to see, okay, this person has only designed 2 courses, so this may not be very good, so I'm not going to play that one. What I'll do is I will leave that until the end of the video, as an and I'll give my overall rating first, and then I'll say, okay, let's just have a quick look, how many courses has this person designed before. And then I might throw in an extra thing saying, right, this person has potential to really become an absolute top class designer within the community. So yeah, without kind of going on too much longer, I'm not sure how long this video has gone on for now. But yeah, that's pretty much exactly at the moment. I say I may expand on things, but that's pretty much how I'm going to be going through the whole review process of the course. As I did mention in the previous video as well, I'm going to be playing all the 4 rounds, 1, 2, 3, or 4 rounds, depending on how many pin sets there are. I'm going to be doing those. I'll be just pre-recording those, and then I'll be chopping them down and editing them and stuff, and more than likely jumping between different pin sets as we go through the review, as I talk about all the different things within the course. So yeah, that is pretty much gonna do it for this video. I cannot think of anything else that I need to add on to it. If I do, I'll drop it in a pinned comment down below. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to getting my first official course review up on the channel, hopefully within the next couple of weeks for you guys. So do keep an ear out for that. Bear with me 2 seconds. Yeah. So does anybody have cats? Because yeah, I just had to cut off there for a second because one of them decided to. I'm sure those of you who do have cats, even if you don't have cats, yeah, they like to hack up hairballs, and of course this fella, one of them decides to pick the most inopportune time right beside me, not elsewhere, but right beside me, where it'll come across in the mic to just copping up right beside. So I've got to go and clean that up now in a second. But yeah, without dragging this video on for any longer than it needs to be, that's where we're going to leave this one. If I do, as I mentioned, if I do think of anything else that I can add, I'll drop it down below in a pinned comment. But at the moment, I cannot for the life of me think of anything else. I think pretty sure that is everything that I wanted to cover, how exactly the review process is going to go for each of the courses. So I am indeed looking forward, if I can't remember now if I've mentioned it already, but I am looking forward to getting the first proper official course review up onto the channel very soon for you guys, hopefully within the next couple of weeks. I'm just doing a few dummy runs to kind of off camera to kind of get a feel for it and the editing and stuff like that. But yeah, that is where we are going to leave this one. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, don't forget to drop it a like. If you have any thoughts yourselves, feel free to drop a comment down below. And if you're just brand new to the channel or you have not done so already, do consider subscribing. And I will talk to you all in the next one. Until then, take care, have yourselves a good one, and bye for now.